Okay, so I'm sorry that I am late to my live. Technical difficulties. Everything seems to be a technical difficulty for me today. Mercury must be going retrograde soon, which we know that it is. I'm trying to do an Ask Me Anything. That's why I'm here. I do these on Instagram. Well, I used to when I had some time. I used to go live on Instagram or even in my stories and do an Ask Me Anything. And hi, Sarah. And I would on Instagram get a lot of engagement. So I'm not sure how it goes on Facebook, but I thought I'd make myself available if there were any questions that pertain to spell work or witchcraft or anything like that. And in the meantime, I thought I would do this thing where I would show you my little setup that I have going on so far for tonight's full moon community spell. So I do have the little chat or whatever happening. So if you have questions, oh cool, Sarah, ask me your question. There's definitely always a delay between when you type something and when I see something, because that's just how live seems to work. So if you've never done live before and I'm not answering your question right away, that's why there is a delay. So type out your questions. Let me know what your questions are. And in the meantime, while you're gathering questions, and these questions can be anything: spiritual, witchcraft, self-work, shadow work. You can ask me, I don't know, you can really ask me whatever you want. Hi, Shane. So feel free to just ask anything that you'd like on this live, and I will hopefully have the answers. So far, we've got the beginnings of my community spell for tonight. Hey, Dina. Going on. Little sneak preview there. This is one of my babies, my selenite, my large, beautiful selenite. I'm going to... Oh, hi, Sarah. I love you. And hopefully I'm doing more lives. Have a good day at work. My selenite I'm obsessed with. Typically, that giant selenite stays in my bedroom because it's cleansing my energy and elevating my space. Now, selenite for a protection spell might not be everybody's immediate go-to, but for me, I'm into selenite because of the fact that it is a higher angelic vibration. So what I always do with my spell work is I always add a component that is raising the vibration, or anything we're taking away, we are enhancing it with more positive energy on the other end. So when I am doing protective work, hi Victoria, then I like to add that positive higher vibrational energy as well, because I think that it's important. That's just my thing. So then over here, I also have amethyst. Amethyst is like the workhorse crystal of the universe, along with clear quartz, which is next to it. But amethyst is a highly protective stone. And then, oh my God, so I just got this baby. That's willow. I didn't just get willow. I just got this baby. This is a pyrite quartz cluster. Oh my God. I'm obsessed. Those of you who are my friend on my personal Facebook have seen that I seat belted it into my back seat when I bought it, because I was like, do not want this to get injured. So those of you who are just joining, feel free to send me some questions so I can answer whatever you might have circulating. No question is too dumb. There is no such thing as a dumb question. We all had to learn somewhere. So just feel free to pop on through with a question for me. Spell work aligned, witchy aligned, whatever it might be. Let's see. I also have, now these are actually for sale. I have this labradorite and I have this labradorite. Both of them are very, very luminous and beautiful. Frequently unknown about labradorites and any kind of metallic ore stones is that they are also highly protective. This is because they have that dense kind of metallic earth sort of vibration about themselves. And the earth is a really good protective source. And the earth will also cleanse your energy just by taking in whatever you're giving it and kind of transmuting it. Oh, good questions are coming through. Really quick, I put this black cat statue that I have here. And actually, I meant to take a picture, but I didn't have my camera. My own black cat already blessed this entire setup for us. Black cat energy, super productive, super protective. Because black cats, what they are doing, their black cat fur and stuff, is to destroy our energy. It destroys negativity. So that's fun. So he's already blessed the space. I know, the mic is like my favorite thing, Tane. I am like obsessed. Ashley Humphrey told me about these mics, and ever since then, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get one. I want to do a forgiveness spell. This is from Sarah Rhiannon. I want to do a forgiveness spell, a misunderstanding, and also a clash of perspectives. Got a little blown out of proportion, and I want to know what I can do spell-wise to help move things into repair. This is a nice question. Okay, so for forgiveness, if it's you who's forgiving or trying to channel in that energy of forgiveness, I would do a cleansing. So I like to do prescriptions for spells. I like to layer my spells, right? So I would start with a cleansing, meaning you're going to cleanse yourself of all of the negative energy that has happened. In that, I did get the mini mic in that situation. So cleansing just means you're going to remove the charge around it. You're going to remove the divergent kind of energy. You're going to remove the intensity about it. So I would start with cleansing. I would do then sort of self-love on yourself so that you can get to a place where you can have compassion and see the other side. If the other person is the one that's needing to give you forgiveness, then I would do some type of self-love or just love to the situation. In general, you could do healing because there are oils and things that you can do for healing. And in that capacity, it would sort of bridge that gap a little bit. And then, you could seal it at the end with some kind of protection spell. The protection at the end would be to protect the new energy that you've created between the two of you. You also could light like a blue candle and do something around communication. It just depends on the specifics of the circumstance. And as long as we have clarity for Donnie, we will be able to figure out what spell to do. But no, so what I'm saying is, for communication, blue is always the communication color, right? Because that's your throat. Lapis is a great one to have for communication to incorporate into your spell work. Celestite makes it a very sort of angelic, cerebral kind of vibration. You could do sodalite. Sodalite's really nice for good communication, and add that into your spell work. And then the thing that people forget to do a lot is whatever crystals they're putting by the candle for the spell, start carrying that crystal with you, because now that crystal is charged with that spell. And so the more you have that crystal on you, the more the spell is like radiating in your vibrational energy field. So I would definitely do some type of cleansing for healing, some type of love to kind of neutralize the situation, and then something communication and perhaps protection aligned so that you can kind of get on board with bridging that gap. If you have other questions about the specifics, please let me know. Should tarot cards, this is from Kristen Pesta, should tarot cards be put out for the full moon tonight, or will the dew ruin then? Oh, thank you about my eyeshadow. I was channeling Ashley Humphrey, I think, this morning when I was doing my makeup. Yeah, so I personally, if I remember, I will charge my cards. I tend to forget to charge things. You can also always set things on selenite plates or in selenite bowls or with selenite on top. So if you keep your tarot cards in some type of bag, you could put a piece of selenite in there, and it will charge and cleanse your cards whenever you are using them. But you could put the tarot cards out in the full moon, yes. But if you're worried about the dew or whatever else might happen with the weather or animals or anything like that, you can put them in like a Ziploc bag. You could wrap them in saran wrap. There's no wrong way to do this. You could even put them in like a Tupperware if it's clear. But I think that's smart to be concerned about the elements, and it's not going to mess it up if it's in some type of plastic. Let's see. Is it okay to have more than one intention per moon, or should I concentrate on one thing at a time? I would say this kind of depends on your level of experience, just because of the fact that if you're layering intentions and you're really newer to the practice, you're going to struggle to shift between intention setting. You might carry one into the other. Now, if they're complementary, then they can be carried from one to the other, right? Like if it's like, I want to be more calm and I want to have better communication, well, then those two things kind of go together. So I guess it depends. Generally, as in all things, like with multiple spells at the same time, if you separate them and kind of have their own little ring of salt or something around them, I think that would help delineate the separate intentions. Just use your intuition and know yourself, and you might be laying some seeds right now for one thing and following up with it on the new moon, or following it up again after this full moon cycle. Like you might want to set your intentions and your focus fully on one thing and then kind of work with that for the entire cycle. It really depends on what it is that you are calling forth and kind of creating for yourself. I was told I have a goddess trying to get in touch with me. This is Amanda Stahl. How can I connect? Okay, I love this. When a deity is trying to contact us, what will happen is we'll start to see lots of signs in our world about that deity. We will sort of get their name a lot. We will see their symbology a lot. We will be around things that remind us of them. The deity itself might appear to us in a dream of some kind or another. There's a lot of ways that we receive callings like this. So I always like to encourage people to signal back. Signaling back means that you intentionally set some things on your altar for that deity. You maybe write a petition to them, just thanking them, offering gratitude, or accepting that they want to work with you. Lighting a white candle that you carve in some type of gratitude, either with their name or with their name plus your gratitude message. That's always a nice thing to do. Just spending intentional time signaling to them somehow is a great way to connect, because what they're doing is they're trying to get your attention. So what you're doing is you're saying, oh, you got my attention, so I'm going to acknowledge you too. Now what? And then they will reach back out again. And I really think that's a nice way to do it. The way you signal back gets more advanced the more you work with a deity. So you'll find out the things they like as offerings. You'll find out the symbology that they like, and you'll start to incorporate it into your home or into your clothes or things like that. I tend to get tattoos for the deities that I'm permanently working with, just because to me that's a really nice way that I can honor them. Let's see. Every time I get there, it goes away. As far as altars, I am looking into doing mini altars around the house. My main altar that is only for me and casting living in the area together. I saw multiple opinions on room altars. Is it better to just have a self with a spell jar for love and protections and crystals, or a bedroom altar be okay? Yeah, you can have a bedroom altar. In fact, since your bedroom is your most personal space that really has your most unrefined and honest energy, I find bedroom altars to be really powerful and special and significant. I keep an altar right on my nightstand. I keep an altar on my dresser. I have an altar on the shelves in my bedroom. So I don't know who's saying you shouldn't do a bedroom altar. Take it with a grain of salt, make your own decision, but I have altars everywhere, and I think it's actually the most intimate work that I do for myself. I kind of tend to do based on my bedroom altar. So that's a nice thing to do, in my opinion. The labradorite is really pretty. They are available for sale, actually. Let's see. When working with crystals, herbs, or anything else, oh my God, from nature, and I wasn't saying oh my God to you, Alana, I was having issues with my phone. Do you have a set use / meaning for each element, or do you use what you gravitate towards? I felt the need to create a mixture of different herbs boiled, and I wrote what I wanted to manifest on 5 different bay leaves and added them to the herbs and boiled them down and stained the concentration through strained it. Pieces of cloth and sealed in a jar to use in different ways. I didn't have a reference or anything specific. I just did what I felt seemed, I know, Hannah, the mic. Did what I felt seemed to make sense. If is this not common? Is there anything you did when you first started and the way you use things? I hope my questions make sense. Okay, so Poppy, I love you too. Okay, so there's going to be some mixed opinions on this. Low level, new beginner entry level witchcraft. I want you to just follow your intuition 1000%. So what you did, I'm all on board. I am here for it. I love it. I think it's perfect. Because what you're doing is you're giving yourself permission. And I'm talking to you, Alana, who is asking me, is there a specific way to do things? Because she just went around and gathered, or they just went around and gathered the herbs that were speaking to them. They wrote their stuff on bay leaves. They boiled it all. They strained it through some cloth, and now they're using that fluid, that liquid, for whatever they're feeling drawn towards. And then they are saying to me, is this okay? How do you do things? And how did you do things when you first started? When you're newer to witch work, I really actually love, and Hannah, I'm obsessed that it actually works, right? I just did a YouTube video on the ethics of hex work, and I used this microphone the whole time because I felt like it had the vibe of my video. I will post that video once I have my thumbnail uploaded. Anyway, when you're in the beginning stages of witch work, I want you to do whatever it is that feels like it speaks to you, because what you're doing is you're giving yourself permission to trust yourself, and that is number one, the most important thing for all witch work. And I think that most witches will agree with that. Trusting yourself is actually so critically fundamental to this work that I can't even stress it enough. So, hi Emerson. So I definitely, and hi Ty, want you to Trust yourself, gather the things that are speaking to you, because quite honestly, intuitively, especially if you have the type of energy that communicates with plants really well, those plants are telling you what they're doing. You just might not know it in your mind. See, a lot of us are intuitive through our bodies, or are intuitive just in our energies, or through our impulse, and it's our brains that get in the way, because our brains are very logic based until we train them not to be. And our brains that are very logic based are very much like, well, why are you doing this? And what's that for? And it wants like a reason, and it wants like an explanation for absolutely everything. And we don't always have one. So I absolutely love that you went around and just gathered things. I like that you wrote it on the bay leaf. That's a thing. And I like that you put it all in a thing to use as you feel fit. So I think that's really good. Trusting yourself is the most important thing. And that's what this exercise that you're doing is teaching you how to do. Now, that said, as you get higher level, and as you have really refined and specific spells that you're trying to do, you are going to want to know what herb does what, or you are going to want to know like the qualities of the herbs that you're using. And I don't mean necessarily like their magical qualities, because sometimes it's all in the symbology of what they do. So for example, if you are trying to do some abundance work, I know a witch that puts just grass, like actual, just like not weed, but like grass from the yard, into her herbs that she uses for abundance work, because grass just grows everywhere. It's abundant, right? So sometimes the herbs you're using them for their symbolic purposes, for the natural ways they have about themselves, just because that's what they're doing. As you get more advanced, you're going to want to know things like the subtle magical properties of things and what they do. And you're also going to want to know, like, how does this fit into my spell work? I'm going to walk through this screen for a second because the dogs next door are barking. So you will eventually want to get to that point where you're kind of having a clear kind of catalog with yourself as to what these spells are needing and what they're requiring and what the different herbs are doing and what they are asking you for. But for right now, I would say that intuitively, it sounds like you're picking up on something. So I would just trust it. I would just practice trusting it, because also, you know, as you're making your thing, you're putting your positive intentions in there. And so that's going to activate the positive components of the herbs that you're using. Megan says, I love that. Do whatever to help build trust and intuition. I 1000% agree. The most important thing for a new witch, and if anybody else has more questions, please go ahead and keep them coming for me. The most important thing for a new witch is definitely building that intuition and learning to hear your mind, hear your thoughts, and then politely kind of dismiss them if they don't really apply, right? Like, we are so trained to have to prove or justify or explain why we're doing something. And intuition doesn't operate in that realm. Intuition doesn't really have like a list of reasons. It's just like, because it feels that way. And we have a whole extra sense about ourselves. We have this whole antenna that we carry around in our bodies for the energy of things around us. And that antenna is speaking to us at times, and it's telling us, do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. And so when we are picking up on that, it's important to follow it, even if it's something really small or even if it's something mundane, right? I think it's important to learn how to trust on that level. So yeah, nice job to you, Alana. And I am excited that you're feeling validated, because I think it's really cool what you did. Plus, like, getting in the habit of like boiling a bunch of herbs on your stove and like draining them through cloth, that's super witch-tastic to do that anyway. So whatever, you're definitely in it to win it with the witchy vibration. And that's partially it too. Like, the more we let ourselves act in alignment with who we know we are, the easier it is to claim the deeper levels of being that person and being that vibration. The smell is fantastic. Well, yeah, so this is also a thing. I think Rebecca went live the other day making a simmer pot. Simmer pots are like spells on your stove. They're just vibrational shifters. So you did do that. Like, you shifted the energy of the space by boiling all of these things. You shifted the energy of the home around it. This is also why, if we're doing like darker magic or hex work or something, we don't necessarily want to do it in our living spaces. Not that that's what you were doing, but I'm just saying, adding whatever you're doing in your living spaces is also shifting the energy around that thing that you're doing, which is also why we cast circles and things like that. Kristen has, I love this group, and even though I'm a solitary practitioner by choice, I also feel like this is my coven, if that makes sense. I love that. I wanted this to be a online kind of coven-like space for witches. Generally, the word coven really does have some specifics that are associated with it that are important to the people who really have practice around being in coven with one another. But so in that sense, the word got kind of like distorted a little bit, but I wanted witches to have a space to gather with each other and to talk to each other and to ask each other questions and to be in community with each other. I think that's so super important. And Alana turns her vent hood on and spreads the smells through her house. Yes, exactly. But you're also spreading that energy through your house. So you were being extra witchy and you didn't even really realize it. Oh my God, I cannot speak right now. Quick way to ground and bring self back to center when thrown life-changing curveballs. Okay, so my answer always for a quick way to ground is to take yourself outside and to stand in the grass. Preferably, if it's possible, I'd like you to stand barefoot. It's not always possible, especially as we're moving into fall or winter in the northern hemisphere here. But if you can, while you're standing out there, you're going to connect to the earth through your feet. And as I said a second ago, the earth has really powerful cleansing and grounding components. It will take that energy out of you and transmute it. That's all the earth is always doing. I mean, it's growing beings and it's supporting life. It's transmuting energy all the time. So you can stand there and ask it to take it from you. Or you could touch a tree and ask the tree to transmute it. Don't feel bad for the tree, by the way. Plants are natural energy transmuters. Think about it this way. A plant is taking in the sunlight and it is making oxygen out of it. A plant's entire existence is all about turning something into something else. So if you give a plant or a tree or something like that your energy, it wants to convert it into something else. So you can ask its permission, put your hands on a tree, put your feet on the earth, and then ask it to shift your energy for you, and it totally will. And that's a really good, quick way that's pretty accessible to everybody of kind of shifting your energy when you're really feeling like you're spiraling to some degree or another. Courtney Lewis, hi honey. When doing shadow work and creating a new life, how do you keep your insecurities in check? That's a beautiful question. Your insecurities are the shadow work. So whatever comes up when you're trying to make a change, that's where the healing is. So for example, if I'm trying to make a change, I guess, to my social circles and have more friends, if my insecurity is something like, oh, I'm really not, like, what if I think I'm like not cool enough or not funny enough or I don't know how to talk or whatever, that's where my work is. My work would be around tracing my insecurity back to the situation that I'm shifting at hand and then doing some healing around it. And so with shadow work, we're seeing the ways that we are complicit in our own dismantlement or our own disempowerment, and we're trying to find ways to build ourselves back up. So we are figuring out where we needed support and maybe didn't have it in our life, where we are having negative self-talk towards ourselves, where we are reinforcing a negative narrative with ourselves, and we're finding ways to shift that. Sometimes that looks like affirmations. Sometimes it looks like healing and forgiveness of people who have made us feel that way, including ourselves. And then it looks a lot like fake it till you make it, or finding ways to opt in to the result that you want that's not so super triggery. So if you're trying to expand your social circle, for example, but you're super having a hard time, you could go to an organized event, for example, and decide you're going to stay for 15 minutes and set yourself a goal of like saying hello to one new person or something like that. Or you could practice becoming more social in online spaces and practicing building up your confidence that way. I hope this answers the question. If not, you can please feel free to clarify. Okay, let's see, because whenever I do this, it like sets me all the way back to the top of the thing. Let's see. Everything's moving. Mariah Holland, any thoughts on the spirit of someone who is stuck in a vegetative state? Are they stuck? Oh, man. Whew, so this one can be hard. I will only tell you what it is that I have noticed in my experiences. So as you all may or may not know, I'm a psychic intuitive. So I've been doing readings for about 10 years now professionally. When I've done readings in situations like this, what it seems to be is that's happening is that person's sort of in a state, like a dreamlike state. So they're in and out. They're spending a lot of their time on a different plane of reality, whether it's the other side or just another plane of consciousness. I'm not too sure, but they are often on another plane, but they are tethered. So it's almost like there's a balloon, and their spirit is the balloon part, and their body is attaching their spirit by that string. It's like there's a balloon kind of tied to them. So they're there, but they're not. If you've ever been kind of like deliriously tired, or maybe like smoked a lot of weed or something like that, it feels sort of similar to that when I tap into the energy of people in those states. And that's kind of what is going on there, because they haven't been given permission to be necessarily released fully from the body, but they also aren't necessarily fully in the body either. And what happens further will change depending on the prognosis or of the outcome of the situation. So if they begin to heal enough that they're going to wake up, that balloon string gets shorter and shorter and shorter until they're merged back with their body. If they're not going to heal and they're going to be released, that string gets longer and longer and longer until they are free of the body. I hope that that's helpful. And again, that's just been my experience as to what I've seen when I've been doing readings like this. I'm having trouble with it expanding. Let's see if I can get it to tell me what Tane's question is. I'm diving into shadow work and self-work. I have your YouTube video on shadow work and an open thumbnail. I feel the need for incorporating candles, runes, and herbs. Yep. I never felt ready to add layers, so to speak. I'm ready now. I ordered books and found a local girl that has a small shop with herbs, crystals, and question. Are there some no-goes as far as herb combinations? I've been writing things down that come to mind, but I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so if you're concerned about messing things up, you can always just like get a book on herbs. It depends on the modality that you are using for your witch work. I have been taught and trained by several voodoo and hoodoo practitioners, so I like to kind of use that frame of reference because I've been given permission to, and also because it's just what I'm accustomed to. So I have this book called Sticks, Stones, Roots, and Bones. That's really cool. It's like a recipe book for oils and blends and things like that. Now, other witches kind of maybe in a more Wiccan-like practice or eclectic style, they might have different associations with different herbs because it does change. So I would look it up. I would get a book that feels right to you. There's some book about being a green witch that might be helpful. The name of it's escaping me. It might just be called Green Witchcraft. But either way, I don't think you're going to mess it up. You don't want to use poisonous herbs or plants in things that are positive or detoxing a situation, right? You also don't necessarily want to use like dirt or roots that have to do with certain things. These are more advanced things that I don't know that you would naturally go to. Spices, like hot, spicy things like cayenne and things like that, generally are for more baneful magic, so I would steer clear. But if you're wanting to add some heat to something, cinnamon's a nice little pleasant one that will add that heat and that acceleration without it being any negative connotations. My black cat is here. He's visiting. Hi, Hero. Did you come to bless my live? Yes, you did. Did you come to give us blessings? He has officially blessed all of you on the live with his good black cat energy. Alana says, what I'm saying is actually scientifically backed up. I have done some studying about grounding in children. It makes a huge difference in your child's temperament. And I found that being barefoot really, I recently read a thing about how like being out in the dirt kind of increases your microbiomes in your body and stuff. And it really connects you more and it heals you more. He's a very chatty little cat. He's got a lot to say. What do you want to tell everybody? What do you want to tell everybody? Oh, now you're too cool. But yeah, I've definitely read about the properties of like the earth kind of shifting. And you can see my little feet with my sun slides on. You say hi? No. What do you want? Oh my goodness, it's a whole cat extravaganza right now. Yeah, but I've definitely read something similar about being in the earth and how it will how it will allow you to access that different vibrational energy. It's just calming and it's transmuting and it's healing and it's alive though. Cause I feel like with grounding things, oh my God, it often feels for me because listen, I have 0 earth placements in my chart, which is like unheard of. So grounding things and crystals and stuff can be really hard for me to even hold. But with the actual earth herself or itself, there's not that heaviness that that I can sometimes feel. I don't know if anybody else ever feels that or not. Jess Mebs, hi. Rebecca Lynn Craig, if you could impart one piece of advice to witches, regardless of skill or how long they've been practicing, what would that be? Oh my God, this is so fun for me. Like, I don't even know what it is that I want to say. I think I want to say, I want to, like, it's so hard. You know, when I first met Audrey, this story has relevance, I promise. When I first met Audrey, she had this list of like 150 questions that she was, like, I guess interviewing people she was considering dating with. I'm not really sure. I never asked that part of it. But anyway, so she asks me these 150 questions, and she was like, I asked you like 150 questions and I got like 300 to 400 answers because of the fact that I can never just answer a question with just like one thing. I blame my ADHD for this because I'm like, but what about this, or what about that, or what about whatever. So I'm going to try real hard. I'm struggling between choosing trust your intuition above all else at all times, no matter what, which I think is my real answer, versus do your self-work. Because trusting your intuition at all times, no matter what, is going to allow you access to such a depth of connection to source and connection to the wisdom that's really already in you, that you're unstoppable. Like, if you can get out of the habit of being in your mind and start to move with your energy field, you are elevated times 1,000. Like, the amount of magic that you have access to if you trust your intuition at all times is astronomical. I always joke that I don't think anymore. I just exist. And that's definitely beneficial because when I think too much, I'm paralyzed. But when I'm trusting my intuition, I'm doing everything. So, and the magic is everywhere and the energy is everywhere and it's always giving us information. So that's probably my answer. However, doing your self-work, when I made this video earlier today, it is on YouTube, but it doesn't have a thumbnail yet. Rhiannon did send it to me, but I didn't do it yet. Anyway, when I made this video earlier today about the ethics of hex work, I was talking a lot about what it is that we do when we don't do our self-work. And one of the reasons it's important to do your self-work is because if your energy is not clear and you're not actually just a channel, or what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, whatever. When you're just not a container for the energy of the universe, you're adding your own unhealed shit, for lack of a better word, to your spell work. And this is where the bounce back thing gets kind of misunderstood, I think. And when we're adding our own triggered energy or unhealed energy to something, it affects it. And also, we can't be a clear channel for divinity if we have so much that's unhealed within us. So, and being healed allows you to really understand the work that you're being called to do versus just being reactionary. When you do your self-work, you step out of a place of reacting and you step into a place of being proactive and intentional with all the things you do. So I feel like it's both, but if I could just tell people one thing, I would definitely say trust your intuition at all times, all the time, forever, always, in all ways. Thank you, Rhiannon. It is mind-blowing how powerful permission is, something you taught me. It is powerful. It is amazing how powerful permission is. I 1,000% agree with that. Sarah Johnson says, if one uses rainwater to make moon water, does it make it stronger for the work? I don't know if I would say it makes it stronger. I would say it makes it different. Because rainwater it's got storm energy, it's got sky energy. So rainwater has an air component to it, which is unique for water. And it also has this vibration of storm energy with it. So depending on what kind of rain it was, if it's like a light shower, it's going to have just a little bit of nourishment in there, or like a nice little cooling kind of like, here's a nice little rain. If it's like a torrential downpour and it's like lightning and thunder and all that, then it's got like some storm freaking energy. And storm water gets used in a lot of appropriate for storm water kinds of spells. So it's really going to depend on the kind of rain. but it's all going to have that air quality to it where it's been touched by the element of air as well. And that's kind of cool. So I don't know that it's better. I do know that it's different. And so you want to take that into consideration because it's going to add that component to whatever you're using the water for. Let's see. Courtney says, thank you. That resonated. Since starting school again, my insecurities have been coming up a lot. Yeah. So especially with something like schooling, if it's like I'm not good enough or I can't do this, what we do is we find ways to make things possible. One of the biggest shifts for shadow work is that you make a decision to get on your own side and to be on your own team rather than to be aligning with the people who have told you you can't or that you're not good enough. And often those people don't necessarily even exist. See, when we're having a voice inside of our head saying everybody thinks this or everybody thinks that, everybody is code for I'm scared that. Because we don't know what everybody thinks. It's not like you get a memo in your inbox every morning from everybody and it's like, guess what? We all think you suck. Like that doesn't happen, right? But we feel like it happens because we're afraid that that's what everybody thinks because we don't know that we're not, or we don't know that we can. And so what our job to do is to be on our own team and to say, I know I can do this. And the things I don't know how to do, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to use resources and I'm going to ask for help. And then the thing with shadow work is that when we do that, asking for help triggers out some other thing in us and using resources triggers out some other thing in us. So we have to heal that and be like, why am I scared to ask for help? Oh my gosh, can I be vulnerable? I like to say vulnerability is our greatest connector because everybody can relate to someone being vulnerable, but we tend to hide our vulnerabilities, right? Like we tend to not want anyone to know I feel stupid right now, but we've all felt stupid at times. And if someone can find out that you're feeling that way, they want to seek to alleviate that for you, but it's too scary to ask a lot of the time. So we just don't ask. So we're not on our own team. So we don't get our needs met. Lather, rinse, repeat. All right, let's see. Hannah said, or Ashley says that she told me she needed one. I do buy everything. I just bought a hat that Ashley Humphrey told me I needed too. And she was right. I did need it. It's covered in glitter. Yo, this hat is like covered in the most obnoxious like rhinestones of my life. And it got accidentally delivered to my neighbor's house. And she brought it over and she was like, she told Audrey, she's like, I guess you bought this hat for the little girl. And we were like, yeah, that's who it's for. It's not. It's definitely for me. Okay. Yeah, you knew I was going to say the intuition thing. That's so real, Megan. I know you sent it, Rhiannon. I totally believe you. Tannison, when writing on bay leaves to burn, can you write what you want to manifest or just what you want to let go of? Or is it all about intention? I've actually only heard about writing on bay leaves for what you're wishing for and what you're calling forth for yourself. But don't quote me on that. This isn't a practice that I really participate in a lot, but I've really only heard about it for what you're calling in. Although if it's for manifestation of wishes, you could be wishing to get rid of something too. So I don't really see a reason why you can't do whatever you want with that. Let's see. Karen says, thank you for your video. A message of being okay with not being okay. Absolutely. Yeah, Sarah, if that's some thunderstorm rain, have awareness because thunderstorms are really powerful. Thunderstorms are super intense and it's going to add that to all your stuff. Hi, Sasha. I love you too. All right, let's see. Oh my God. The part that I don't like about going live is how like it's so difficult to like do the scrollies. My candle while in the glass jar just cracked like an hour or so ago. Can that mean anything? I've never seen that happen before. Well, it depends. So Sasha, if your candle cracked the jar, if it was a spelled candle, it might pertain. Now, some factors at play are like, is fire safety a real thing? Like, are there other candles nearby? What's the quality of the jar? Like, we also have to look at the mundane answers, like the real life reasons for things when we're interpreting. But I also tend to think that everything's kind of telling us something, right? So it could be that it's very powerful, whatever you were doing. It could be that it's not ready to manifest yet. I would need a couple more details in order to really effectively answer that question. So I guess it just depends. Yes, I do readings. I've been doing readings for 10 years. So you can book a reading with me on my website at moonstonewitchery.com. I didn't mean to do a commercial over here on this live, but there it is. Yeah, you can always book a reading with me. I do hours and half hours, but I have shifted my readings only to Sundays. So that's when they are. Before we are done for this live, what time is it, babe? Do you know what time it is? Oh, it's 5:40. Right, before we are done, because I have a client in about 20 minutes, I will show you guys again my pretty little setup out here. that I have going on for tonight's full moon community spell. And if you have further questions while I'm still here, feel free to drop a comment in the thing. I've been following your podcast and a lot of your social media. It makes me feel so not so alone, and thank you for that, Colleen. I am so glad. Thank you for that. That's literally the whole reason that I started doing any of this. I did not set out to have a gigantic social media presence on Instagram or here. I set out to not feel so alone in my practice or in my life or in my world. At the time when I started my social media, alone was my middle name. I was not in a good place in my marriage. My marriage was just like not even a thing. And I had gone through a terrible breakup and my life was terrible. So I just decided to set up a witchcraft account and there we go. So I'm super, super grateful when anyone tells me something like that. Thank you. That was my entire thing. Let's see. When it comes to deities, working with them and identifying them, God, I hate it. All the research I'm doing to learn about different deities, the confusion I run into is the different origins of deities. Yeah. Is there a certain group that you work with when practicing witchcraft? Is it possible to misidentify a deity and offend them? I have not been practicing for long at all, and I'm being nudged or feel like one is trying very hard to get my attention, but I don't think I'm ready to work with one, and I don't want to shut a door when I don't need to. Okay. All right, Alana. Yeah, so a couple things. I don't work with a specific group personally. I tend to be a solitary eclectic witch, but I have met so many witches throughout my work that I have witches that I do consultations with from time to time. I just called one of my friends not too long ago because I needed to tell on myself because I was going to do a spell that I shouldn't have been doing, and I just needed to talk to somebody who knew me and would be like, no. And that was helpful. Okay. So, I don't really necessarily have a specific group. If the wind is too windy, please tell me and I'll step back inside. So I don't know. So not all deities want to work with you, right? Like they have rules about themselves, especially in closed practices. The deities that are associated with closed practices, they don't generally want to work with you if you're not in their closed practice. So a lot of the voodoo or hoodoo deities, they don't want to work with you unless you are in that alignment. Now, that said, if you are being called by one of them, I would encourage you to listen, and I would encourage you to reach out to a priestess or somebody who does know about it and to get some information from them. Pay them for their time, because that's helpful, because you don't want to be offensive, right? Is it possible to misidentify a deity and offend them? Yes. Yeah, I would say it's definitely possible. Think about all the stories from Greek myths. They're kind of cranky. They're kind of intense. So one thing you can do, you're empowered. Remember, you are in a conversation with the universe. They're not just talking at you. So you are empowered to ask them questions. So you can be like, I think that this is you. Please send me a sign, yes or no. Like, make it more clear to me. I would ask them for clarification. And if you don't feel ready, you can write a petition back that says, I'm not really ready, but thank you so much for your consideration. Right? Much like you would be kind of like declining a job interview. You could do something like that. If you need more support, let me know. Melissa Marie, why are you so amazing? Melissa Marie, why are you so amazing? Just FYI, Melissa Marie is amazing. The readings are not pre-recorded. They are live over the phone, Sasha. So I generally just do voice calls. Some people prefer video calls. Sheer laziness is the real reason why I don't do a ton of video calls, because then I have to like do all this instead of sit there in my sweatpants. But I can do video calls if that's preferable. If you're getting an e-reading from me, though, that's typed up and I email it to you. Megan says, which is easier when having a reading done? Do you have to have certain questions or just a general reading? So here's how I craft all my readings. You send me a photo of yourself at the beginning of the call. I tell you all about yourself. I tell you what your current energy looks like. I tell you what's currently going on in your world. And then I tell you about you as a person. I tell you your archetypal energies and your life path energies and like what's going on with you. And then I open up the second portion of the call for you to ask me for areas of insight. So you could either have specific questions, or you could just be like, what's going on with me with career? And then I'll be like, well, tell me whatever information you're comfortable with, because now you know that I'm really reading you, because on the first half of the call I don't ask for any information from you whatsoever except for your photo. Oh, Alice, hi from the UK. Yay, that's exciting. Hi. It must be late there. I feel like I started practicing and I've been just thrown in there with things coming up for me and different things, and I feel like, whoa, hold on, I don't know a lot. Yeah, take your time. There's no rush. I mean, the gods and the spirits and stuff, they don't have time the same way as us, so they're not like over there like, she left me on red. Like, they don't care. Like, you can take your time with this, I swear. Courtney, beautifully timed question. Yes, I'm doing online courses. I am starting October 1st. So you haven't heard anything from me because I haven't put out my graphics yet or whatever, but I am starting October 1st. I'm going to be doing like Witchy Fridays, where I'm teaching a class on Fridays. The first class I'm going to teach you is how to do a cord cutting spell. I will have the option of being live on the class with me in some type of whatever course room, yet to be determined. I'm narrowing it down. And then or you can purchase the class when it is complete. So yes, I will be doing courses. I have lots of requests for my class called Divine Communication. It's a 7-week class, so I'm trying to figure out where in my life I'm going to put it, but that is coming soon as well. Although, Courtney, you have taken Divine Communication, I think. Summer Rose, hello, I always appreciate everything I learned from you today. I'm 54 days clean. Yay! I would appreciate any messages or advice. You're amazing. I have 1 year, 9 months and something. My partner has over 4 years. Let's interview her really quick. She's not going to like this. Hey, babe. Yeah. I have someone on my live who has 54 days clean from drug addiction, and she would appreciate any messages or advice. Can I put you on the camera?
Sure.
What do you want to say to her?
Congratulations on the 54 days. Also, you just take it one day at a time. Do the best that you can, and
tell her the thing about having the touch piece. Like, remember how you would like have your dad's ring, or you would.
Oh yeah. So the thing that helped me the most with certain therapies, as far as cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectic behavior therapy, teaches you to have like sensory things. So like if you're in a very triggering environment and you can't get out of it, fixate on something, whether it's like something on the wall, or I usually hold on to jewelry, or I carry a stone in my pocket, but it allows you to have a sensation in your hand, and usually the thoughts kind of leave.
Yeah, and I would go into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Any other advice?
Not really, not off the top of my head.
Thank you. That was fun. I wonder if I can interview anybody else. Here, the cat's still with me. Hey, Hero, do you have any advice? So she was telling me before that, whoa, gonna fall through my screen. She was telling me before that, when she was having a really hard time, channeling her energy into a rock or something like that really helped her. Now she was wearing a piece of jewelry that had belonged to her dad who had passed, and she would kind of hold it and talk to him. But you could also put a candle, set it in alignment with your recovery intentions. Okay. And, put a crystal down at the bottom of it, or put a piece of jewelry down at the bottom of it, and align that energy so that thing gives you the strength when you're lacking the strength in a moment that you might be encountering. I hope that that's helpful. But congratulations, Summer Rose. We are so proud of you over here. Good job. I know, Stacy, the little mic, I really think, I love that you love it. It reminds me of you in a way, actually. Yes. Oh, thanks, Courtney. Isn't it exciting to see Audrey, right? It's like, it makes everybody's day to see Audrey. How could you not have your day made looking at Audrey? Because she's so fucking beautiful. Okay, let's see. So before we go, I'm just going to showcase the beginnings of my community spell for tonight. Now, listen, skull here is for protection. So it's done with a metallic kind of finish on it. It's mimicking like a peacock or something like that. I think it's metal. That's going to be really good for taking in the energy and transmuting it. Everything I do has a reason. Literally everything I do has a reason. All the things, all the time. This hand, I painted it myself. I have it set and charged to send protection energy. It's going to be oriented towards the candle. He's helpful for protection vibrations. Also, he's cute as shit. I have these labradorites. Like I was saying earlier, labradorite is really good for transmuting negative energy. And those labradorites are actually for sale. Again, not trying to do a commercial because I don't know what the price is for those. I have to look it up. But they are around... So, I want you to know that all of this... Oh, Hero came back out. See? So I was telling everybody earlier in the beginning of the live that this cat already blessed the whole spell setup. It's not fully set up yet, but he really does. He adds his little positive energy. Raquel says, what is a community spell exactly, or what does it mean? Oh yeah, so on full moons and new moons, Raquel, I generally do a spell that the community can opt into. So I price it pretty low, way lower than my spells that I do for hire for individual spell work, because I have a couple reasons. I want to give people the option to access spell work professionally done on their behalf at a price that's not so high. And I want to make an offering to the community, but I can't. I promised my guides a long time ago, I can't do things like this for free anymore. There has to be some type of energy exchange. So that's why I price it at the point that I do. So what will happen is, your name and your birth date, etc., will go into the spell. This spell for tonight is aligned with protection. I actually channel my guides when I'm determining what the spell is about every month, and I do it based on what they're telling me or what I'm picking up on and just the energy of the situation. This spell, the full moon tonight, is in Pisces, so that doesn't necessarily align too much with protection. Although, see, I have a Pisces moon, and I happen to know that I am so ethereal and floating around my body all the time that some protection is really helpful for me, because I tend to miss things that I maybe should be paying attention to, or I extend the benefit of the doubt in situations that maybe I shouldn't. So it's going to kind of back up and counterbalance some of that energy as well. So a community spell is just a term that I kind of came up with to offer people in this community access to the spell work that I regularly do on the new and full moons. I hope that that is helpful. And thank you to everybody who's liking my makeup. I appreciate that very much. So, okay, I'm going to wrap up this live. I want to thank you all for attending. I want to thank you, Hero, for attending. Thank you. That was nice of you. I want to thank you all for being here, and I will try to go live with an Ask Me Anything once in a while in case it's helpful for everybody. And thanks a lot, and I love you all. I love you too, Rebecca. I love all of you, and thank you for being here. And I will talk to you guys tonight. I'm coming back live tonight. So when I do the community spells, I set the spell, I do all the magic, I fill the cauldron, I light my petitions, and then I go live and I show you what's happening, and I kind of read the spell work as it goes. People ask me often if I know whose candle is what. I don't. I'm sorry. I could ask Audrey to make a chart, but I don't think she would like to do that. So far, no, I don't. But rest assured, if your name's in my spell, it's going to work beautifully for you. So thank you guys for being here. Mwah. Love you all. Talk to you later.